When my father passed away, I thought grief would be the hardest thing I'd ever face. I was wrong. The hardest part came at the reading of his will. My Uncle Richard and Aunt Marlene sat there like vultures dressed in silk. I kept waiting to hear my name, but page after page, nothing. Every acre of farmland, every penny, every piece of the life my father built, all of it went to them. I remember whispering, "There must be a mistake." Richard leaned over, his breath reeking of cigars, and said, "Your father wanted you to learn independence." This was his wish. I wanted to scream. But I saw the smirk tugging at Marlene's lips and knew the truth. They had tampered with the will. I walked away that day with nothing but a box of my father's letters and a heart full of fire. For years, I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I cleaned houses by day, stocked shelves at night, and studied whenever I had a spare hour. My only friend through it all was Daniel, a childhood companion who'd grown into a sharp young lawyer. He pushed me to study law myself, said I had the mind for it. So I did. Meanwhile, Richard and Marlene wasted the land. They rented it to careless tenants, let the barns collapse, and bled the estate dry. They thought they'd won. But I kept collecting proof letters in my father's handwriting, signed receipts, even a bank notice pointing to a safety deposit box. Years later, when I opened that box, I found my father's true will. His handwriting, notarized, dated. My name right there, as clear as day. That piece of paper became my weapon. By the time 15 years had passed, Richard and Marlene were drowning in debt. Their greed had eaten them alive. To survive, they decided to auction off parcels of the land. They thought the buyers were strangers. But through a shell company Daniel helped me set up, I bought every acre, one by one. The day of the final auction, the town hall buzzed with chatter. Richard barked at bidders. Marlene fanned herself nervously. When the gavel came down for the last parcel, they realized the same buyer had acquired it all. Confusion turned to shock when I stood up. "Surprise," I said, my voice steady. "You forged a will to cut me out. But you couldn't erase me." "I've taken back everything you tried to steal." Gasps filled the room. Richard's face turned crimson. Marlene stammered, "This isn't fair." I laid my father's real will on the table. "What isn't fair is robbing a daughter of her father's legacy. You took his land, but not his love. And now it's mine again." They were ruined, their lies exposed not by rage but by proof. I restored the farm in my father's name, turning it into a trust so no one could ever misuse it again. Kids play in the fields now and families gather for harvest festivals. His land is alive just as he wanted. Richard and Marlene still live in town but they avoid me. When our paths cross, I don't gloat. I don't need to. Because revenge isn't always fire and fury. Sometimes it's patience, sometimes it's the long game. They thought they buried me with a forged will. But all they did was plant the seed of my resolve. And I grew back stronger.